Good morning, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Favorite Album of the Year. Today, we're at 1995, halfway through the 90s. You know, it's really funny. About a week or so ago, as we were kind of plowing our way through the 80s, I was thinking, and I think I even said it a couple times on the air, how, the 90s for me was not a very, very good decade for music. But I think the more I go through each year here, these are really hard because maybe there wasn't the mass, for me anyway, this mass of like classic legendary albums released each year. But there was some really, really strong ones in some of the genres that I followed. Even though, for me, not a lot of the really big bands making great albums, but a lot of like newer and up and coming bands and some of like the subgenres that were maybe not top of the charts, but still some really, really great music. So today, I actually was debating over my choices up until just before I started taping. And I just said, you know what? I'm going to make a choice here, and I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to give you some honorable mentions, all right? Because this was tough because, and again, my favorites were kind of like all over the map this year. But let's get you to my number one pick, my favorite album of the year. And I knew this was going to be up there because I loved this album when it came out. I still love it to this day. I love this band. And ironically, even with a whole bunch of releases to their credit since then, I still go back to this one as my favorite release from the band. It's their debut, released June 27th, 1995, produced by Michael Barbiero for Relativity Records, talking about the self-titled debut from Government Mule. That's right. Warren Haynes, Alan Woody, Matt Apst. This is the trio of doom. Call it hard rock, call it southern rock, call it jam, whatever you like. It's killer. Yeah. I was a fan of Warren Haynes and Alan Woody from their time in the Allman Brothers, so when they put this little side project together, I was like, I'm all for it. I had no idea it was going to turn into basically like a full-time thing for the guys, right? But some great Government Mule staples on this album. This album rocks really hard. Warren's guitar tone is just absolutely off the charts. Amazing on here. The songs are heavy. They're rocking. You got the title. You got Mother Earth, Rockin' Horse, Monkey Hill, Temporary Saint, Train, Mule. Okay, you got their cover of the free classic Mr. Big, which absolutely rules. You got Left Coast Groovies, you got World of Difference, and a few others. Just an amazing album with some sizzling guitar solos, meaty riffs, thunderous bass, expert drumming, great vocals from Warren Haynes, memorable songs, but more important, their songs are heavy, lots of jamming, just a fun album that I go to quite often. I really dig the Government Mule catalog. I love the band quite a bit. And while they have kind of changed their sound a little bit here and there over the years, it's still the Mule. Still, we lost Alan along the way, unfortunately, but Matt and Warren are still manning the helm, right? So a great album. I dig it. It's my favorite from 1995. Picking a runner-up was very difficult. Just picking anything from this year was very, very difficult. I was surprised at how many really, really great albums that I truly cherish came out in this year. I went with an album by a band, and again, if you watch my ranking the albums from this band not long ago, this was actually came in at number one. It is this band's got a bunch of albums to their credit over the years. This was their lone major label release that still to this day I still think is their best. When this first came out, I know a lot of people who were following the then kind of simmering prog underground were like, holy cow, a very cool prog band from Pennsylvania who nobody knows signed to a major label. The album is great, and then of course their fortunes didn't turn out so well from there, and they lost the major label deal and broke up for a bunch of years, but came back together and have been releasing spectacular albums periodically since then. I'm talking about Echolin, As the World. Just a great, quirky 90s prog rock album. They were big fans of Gentle Giant and Yes and Genesis and what have you, and they take those influences, but they've got their own sound. Like I said, just memorable songs, lots of like quick little short bursts of creativity, long suites, the whole 9 yards. Dig these guys a lot. As the World is my runner-up. But of course, my favorite of the year is going to be Government Mule, self-titled. So a lot of you folks were predicting. I tell you, some of you were not far off. Like I said before, sometimes I enjoy just as much reading all of your choices for the year as the couple dozen people who are really trying hard to predict what I'm going to say for each coming year. And a couple of you were not far off the mark. All right, so I'm going to give you a couple of honorable mentions just to show some of you that who were pretty close to the mark. Death Symbolic. You know, there were people who were like, Pete's going to pick Death Symbolic because he loves Death and it's his favorite album by that band. Well, I picked Government Mule, which is my favorite album by that band, and I picked Ekelin As the World because it's my favorite album by that band. So just because it's my favorite album by a particular band, you know, you got to stack it up against what else was released that year. So it doesn't always work out, you know, perfectly like that. Kansas Freaks of Nature. Definitely wanted to give some love to that. Symphony X, A Damnation Game. You're no doubt going to see Symphony X quite a bit coming up over the next bunch of years because Damnation Game, an early album that I dig a lot, but I think I like all of their other albums even better. And I'm a huge fan, so you're going to start seeing them pop up. Jethro Tull, Roots to Branches. That was very close to being my runner-up. I really love Roots to Branches a lot. What else we got here? The Gathering, Mendalian. Awesome album. I was so into The Gathering when Anneke van Giersbergen first joined the band. Those first two albums, man, are just absolutely killer. Another real hard one to turn away was Immortal, Battles in the North. Possibly my favorite album from those black metal legends. Spock's Beard, The Light is another one. Meshuggah, Destroy, Erase, Improve. You know, the Porcupine Tree, The Sky Moves Sideways, Van Halen, Balance, Steve Vai, Alien Love Secrets, Iced Earth, Burnt Offerings, King Crimson, Thrak, Morbid Angel, Damnation, Marillion, Afraid of Sunlight. I actually like that album. It's one of the few Hogarth albums I really dig. There's others, you know, At the Gates, Sabotage, Arion, Uriah Heep, Sea of Light. There's a few others, but those are some of the ones that I was kind of simmering around in my head before I made my choices. So again, my favorite from 95, Government Mule, self-titled. My runner-up, Ekelin, As the World. You know how it goes, guys. Pick your favorites in the comments below. Curious to see what your favorite is, your top 3, your top 5, your top 10, whatever it is you want to do for 1995. Remember, there's no right or wrong answer here, so let's hear it, all right? Visit us on the web at www.catranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. Got another kind of cool show coming up this morning that I really wasn't planning, but kind of festered itself over the last couple days, so I'm going to kind of pump that out. I think a lot of you will dig it. So that's coming up. All sorts of stuff happening later this week. You know, we had a couple viewers who were asking, Pete, well, you haven't done many ranking the album shows over the last couple days. Well, you know, I did a couple last week. I did a bunch the week before. We've just had other things coming up. We've got guest stars galore and all sorts of things. So, you know, don't worry. I'm not forgetting the ranking the album shows. We have a really cool one coming up this weekend with a very special guest. So, you know, there's lots of stuff simmering and happening this week and next week. You know, my day job has got me really busy on a bunch of things. So, you know, we'll squeeze in what we can when we can. So, but you can guarantee you'll be seeing at least the favorite album of the year shows every morning, and hopefully we can squeeze in a ranking the albums or, you know, top 10 songs here and there as we're going on. All right. So stay tuned for all that, and we'll see you guys later on. All right. Bye-bye.